All right, we are live. So, um, welcome everybody. We'll kind of jump right in. So, we're here with Jamal. He is a BJJ black belt, and he is in New Jersey. Let me turn this down a little. Jamal, go ahead and just kind of quick background. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Jamal Patterson. So I have a gym in Union, New Jersey. I've been teaching off and on, well, not off and on since 2012. I'm in my new facility for about a year and a half. Specialize in things like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing. Don't really have much of a kids program now. I'm trying to survive without a kids program, and it's going well so far. And that's it. Before this, I was a corporate guy. I was working in medical sales. And I started my martial arts journey right out of college. One of those things, I played football at Colgate University, and I was done. I was just walking around the street like everybody else when I wasn't used to it. So I'm tired of lifting weights, and I just stepped into a gym in Manhattan. Then I got transferred to Chicago for my job and started training at Carlson Gracie School for a year. And then I got transferred back to New York. And then I was lucky enough to train with Renzo Gracie, who I got my black belt from in 2005, which was cool. It's a nice accomplishment. I think I'm one of his top 10 American black belts. And I'm his first African American black belt, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I was kind of saying, like, kind of before we went live, I was reading through some of your background that I didn't know, like some pretty good MMA career. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I fought professionally. It was kind of one of these things. When the UFCs came out, I was in college, and I remember watching it, and my father being like, Jamal, you could be good at this, because I was a wrestler. I was a New Jersey State finalist, and I was an All-American in high school. And then I went off to play football. So when I was done, I always had that itch. I missed wrestling. My friends were wrestlers. My business partner now is a wrestler, and the UFC started, and I started watching it, and I was like, then my dad actually said, Jamal, you'd be good at this stuff, And then fast forward years later, I find myself in the city, and I'm just, I went into it because, I was working a full-time corporate job. So I didn't think, I wasn't thinking, that's not true. I did in the back of my head, was like, I'm going to step in that ring, but I just didn't let anybody know. And then I slowly started training, and then it kind of, took its life over. So I started training, and then I got really big in the grappling world. And at the time, I was one of the top, guys in like grappling. I fought in Abu Dhabi, and then Renzo, the IFL started, which was like the International Fight League, and Renzo asked me to jump in that league, which was fun. It was cool, it was one of those leagues that were right into the UFC. I fought a bunch of UFC veterans, and then I just started getting older. I didn't really start fighting until I was in my early 30s, 32, 33. So I fought for a quick time, and I fought some tough competition in that short amount of time, and then I just started getting started timing out. I realized I didn't have that fire to fight anymore, and then I just kind of switched gears into coaching. And then coaching, I got lucky right away. I coached some really tough people. I had a girl, Caitlin Chukagian, who is like now the number 2, I think, but she fought for the title. And then I was in Edson Barboza's corner. I know, I worked a lot of camps. I had Sajara Eubanks underneath me, David Branch, Liam McGeary, a whole bunch of guys that were training with me at some point. And then recently I kind of got away from it a little bit, and I just want to, focus on building my business. And I started realizing that, it's fun working with the fighters, but I don't realize the bigger impact I make on my regular members. The guy that, never trained before, the guy that's brand new to the sport, a guy who'd had no self-confidence, and now all of a sudden he's picking up girlfriends, and he's, so I have people that met each other at my gym and have gotten married, and a guy that when we walked in there was like afraid to walk into the gym, and now he's got all this confidence. So when I look at that stuff down the road, I sometimes feel like that's more important than the other things that I was doing.
Yeah, and like you said, MMA is a hard way to make a living. So like,
I would not suggest anyone to do it anymore.
Yeah, not fighting or coaching. Like you have to kind of get that one or two standouts that are going to make good money, and then you can maybe make a decent living. But man, coaching MMA is really difficult. Like you said, you got a lot of people in and out of the door that don't last, and the ones that do last a lot of times are hard to deal with. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Another thing too is like it's really hard for me to tell somebody now that I'm older. I'm 46, so now and I look back on life. It's very hard for me to tell someone that stopped their lives for 15 years. It could take 10 to 15 years to try and fight in an event like a UFC event. And then when you look at what these guys are getting paid, it's like they're not going to be set up for the rest of their lives. And it's really hard for me to tell. And I told my guys before, guys come to me all the time, I want to fight. And I'm like, don't do it. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm not trying to crush your dreams, but I know reality. And, I talked to a local promoter around here. They run a show called CFFC, one of the biggest local promotions around here. They have a lot of guys that are in the UFC. And I said to the promoter, I was like, let me ask you a question. Of all of those guys that you had that go into UFC, any of them rich? Any of them have money? No.
Maybe Paul.
Yeah,
Felder.
Yeah. Felder. But, it's because he had an interviewing career. But
yeah.
But if it wasn't for that,
yeah,
he'd be struggling too. These guys are fighting for $200,000 a fight, which is a lot of money, but not in the long run.
No. Anthony's doing pretty well too from there.
Which one?
What is it? Anthony Smith.
Yeah, but still, even him, like, what's
exactly.
Like, I've seen these contracts; they're not as big as you think they are.
Yeah, it's not life-changing money.
No. It's enough money just to give you a little tease, and then you realize that the reality hits you in the back of the
head. Yeah. So you kind of talked about a little bit your target audience right now. So you kind of have focused back on running the academy and running the gym. Like right now, you're kind of more on adults. You're not messing with kids too much. What were kind of like some challenges that you faced kind of running the business, like when you made that transition?
So for me, it was, I came from a corporate sales background, so it was easy for me to kind of get into it and get things running right away. And at the time, my name was kind of hot, but then as you start to grow, you start getting to certain marks that you can't get over, and a lot of it was just kind of getting organized, making sure I put all my efforts into it, because I wasn't really putting all my effort into it originally. And then, I kind of had to start switching gears and start refocusing on just running a business the right way. Once I started doing that, things started to grow. And then obviously, more recently working with you guys, with Academy Kings, you guys are giving me more direction. And I think I was making a lot of mistakes in terms of not looking out of the box. I think throughout what I've learned, and I've had to learn this from my sister. My sister's is a business consultant in her field. And my family's very successful. Like my brother's a director of sales for a large medical company. My other sister's in corporate real estate. My brother-in-law's a hedge fund guy. So like so they're all super successful. And I had to take a step back and like listen to them a little bit. And the coaching thing I think is super important, because you can get stuck in that, like, I'm paying bills, I'm teaching, I'm gotta do this, I have to do that, and you don't look outside the framework of what you're doing, and all it's going to do is kind of limit your growth. And I think I got to that point where I was hitting a number and I couldn't get past it. And I finally had to sit back and say, okay, Jamal, like, let the reins down, like, start taking in more information. You got to keep learning, you got to keep growing. And then once I did that, things started kind of picking up for me.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. So like, I think we all kind of get stuck in our own mind and our own business, like, all the time. So it's like you said, sometimes you have to sit back and look at the business as like something else versus like being inside of it. Because then, like you said, you're paying bills, you're cleaning the academy, you're doing this, you're doing that.
You're looking at it through a microscope and not looking at that that Google
map.
You need
never look at like the growth and how to grow it and what next to do. So I guess what would be like the hardest part about getting new students or kind of growing, you think?
So for me, there's always the two things: is getting new people in the door and retention, right? Those are always the big ones. We're still working on a retention model. my thing with bringing new students is I was just very inconsistent. There was a lot of stuff I was throwing against the wall until recently that, one day I'd have 1 month I'd have 5 signups, another month I'd have 20 signups, and it just wasn't consistent. I didn't have like a consistent plan. I was figuring it out, and right now the whole market and social media, everything changed so much drastically in the last 3 years. It's trying to keep up with it and trying to see what am I doing right and what am I doing wrong. And a lot of it was, spending money in places that are probably not the right places to spend money. So, being able to work with like you guys and Academy Kings, you guys have already gone out there and made those mistakes, and and a lot of those mistakes you deliberately make because you want to learn to kind of bring it out to us. And it's helped a lot because it's been able to help me narrow my focus and just worry about bringing, getting that front end. And a lot of the stuff that you guys, that we learn, stuff that I know, stuff that I heard of, but it's just good to have it reinforced. And like, getting that, like, for example, the last couple of weeks, I didn't jump on that weekly call, and I'm like, Jamal, I got to get back on that fucking weekly call. Even if I don't get anything from it that day, it just makes me like on that the next day, like, okay, let me sit down and bang out all my paperwork. Let me let me adjust my pricing. Let me do this. Let me do that. Because what happens is if you don't, some days you just sit back and like you do something. Oh yeah, I need to up my prices, and the next thing you know, a year later, your fucking prices are still the same.
So yeah, no, I think that's a huge thing. I think just being around that group that's like, it's like fighting, it's like jiu-jitsu. If you're around people that are like-minded, thinking like, I want to get better, I want to grow my business, I want to grow my personal knowledge, like all of those things, like being around that group is just going to make you do it. Versus, like you said, you get stuck back in that day to day and you start to forget about those things and you just putting out fires versus like looking at that growth potential.
Of course.
What kind of so eventually you just kind of looked at saying like I want to grow more, I want to start to do that. What kind of made you look for that better way? Was it just what was that?
Money. I want to make money. I mean, money's a big part also for me. So I'm a little bit different. So money is a big factor, but a lot of things for me is providing like an atmosphere for my clients and my students to even make money. And what I mean by that is I never thought, graduating from Colgate University, all of my friends went into finance and this and that I'd be running a freaking martial arts gym. And I love it. I love what I do. I listen, I work my ass off, but I love what I do. And now I'm at the point where, I want to be able to scale this place to where I'm making, a nice living, a really good living. Also to have like some people that work with me that I've been around that didn't have that opportunities. Like I've had a lot of opportunities because of sports and things like that, but I have friends that don't have those opportunities. And I'd love to be able to start growing to the point where I can give these guys opportunities to be gym owners, to do things that they might not have thought they could do in the past. And being able to scale up and be able to make more money, that's something that's going to help me get to what that ultimate goal is for me. And that's just kind of, helping other people get to where I'm at right now.
Good. So I know when like you kind of jumped in mid or at the beginning kind of like the COVID shutdowns, right? Is that,
yeah.
I remember talking to you like during, at one point, I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was in that shutdown period. What kind of made you decide to jump in and kind of got you off the fence eventually?
So I spoke to you probably a month or two before, and I've worked with some consulting groups before, and they just, there was two things that attracted me to you guys. One is I would notice that you were constantly thoroughly on social media doing stuff. So I knew you were a busy guy, and busy guys that are working means that they're working for other people. The other thing that I liked was you guys were in my industry. Like a lot of times these consulting groups they have their ideas, what they're doing, but they're karate guys. They do this, but you guys, do stuff with jiu-jitsu schools, with kickboxing schools, mixed martial arts schools, something that was more in line with what I did. And then during quarantine, I kept looking at your stuff. And I just got into a situation that I'm like, I can sit here and do nothing, and there was a lot of consulting groups calling me, or I can do something during this time and make it productive. And I liked the fact that you guys were still trying to sell during, a pandemic, because a lot of people were like, it was more, okay, what do we do to retain our members? What do we do to retain our members? You guys were like, okay, this is what we can do to retain our members, and this is what we're going to do to make some money and make the best out of it. Now, listen, I didn't really take advantage of that at the time because I kind of joined up midway through. Like, if I probably, like right now, if we get shut down, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
But at the time I was like, I'm still trying to figure out your systems. So it didn't work out, but I liked what I saw, and I wasn't like put back. I could have easily been like, oh, it didn't work. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I was like, I didn't think it was going to work, but it was good to see that there was some sort of structure in what you guys did. And then, your Academy Kings website, the members portal. I mean, there's just so much stuff, so many things that you guys offered that help. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface of it, but it's just nice to be able to like jump on the website and go into the portal, Academy Kings portal, and if I have a question, I can look at the videos, or, a lot of things. You guys are super accessible, which is nice. And, I can just ask questions, and also in that weekly meeting, we get to ask questions, which can get a lot of things answered.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, like you said that you're kind of scratching the surface, but I mean, like last month you had a really good month.
Yeah.
50 some new members. So what, so you obviously started pushing after you got back.
Yeah. So some of the things you guys implemented the AI software, which helped because I was a little short staffed. So when we originally ran some of the stuff, me doing everything was hard. It was tough, And then once we implemented some of your software that you guys had available, it gave me the ability to kind of now just worry about sales and not be in the phones and not try to train someone to be in the phones. And then I just kind of bought into the process. In the beginning, it was learning, and and I had to get used to certain things. And I was calling Jonathan, you're one of the guys in there, and just like, is this working? Is this working? And then finally, I'm just like, listen, let it run. And I had a great month. We signed up 54 new students in a pandemic. Like, that's crazy. I mean, like that 54 new students and 2 years ago would have been great, but this is literally in a pandemic. I signed up 54 new people. I put about $15,000 more in income last month on top of what already did, and it was just a matter of just letting the leads come in and listen to what you guys said, selling them, using your sales process, my pitch, and believing in my product. Because the great thing about a lot of stuff that you guys do is it's like, I'm not selling them like snake oil. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. This is a good product, and you should be happy to be here. You're gonna, and the nice thing too, the members are paying members. They're paying me up front. So those people are going to convert. So now I'm going into, a lot of those guys are starting to run through their 6-week membership, and my conversion rate is super high. I mean, the people that are coming, there were some people that fell off, but guess what? I still got my money from them, so I'm okay with it. But most of all the other guys, the conversion rate is, I would say, over 90% right now. They're all converting over because they love being part of the environment.
Good, man. And then, so like before, pricing wise and things like that, what were you kind of doing before, as far as like you're bringing people in? Were you bringing them in kind of free trial, or what was the kind of system?
So most of it was the 1 week free trial. My website was set up so they click on a link, and it would auto schedule them, or they'd call in and then I'd schedule them. Pretty simple. I would run Facebook ads here and there, but I probably wasn't running them the right way. And I would run 1 or 2 ads, but it was nice to see, the stuff to see the change, to see the stuff. And I learned a lot when I was going through the Academy Kings portal. And now, the ads are hitting, the ad costs are down. I'm getting a lot of leads in. Some of them aren't, it is what it is. They get a lot of leads, and it's a numbers game. I just keep getting those guys in, sell some, don't sell some, but it all ends up at the end being worth it. And I end up making, even this month. I didn't have this month we had some issues with my setup, but it wasn't obviously your issue. It was more Facebook issue because of the election stuff. But, I'm starting to catch back up now. And also I think right now people are a little nervous because the holidays, and I don't think people want. So I'm still selling people on the other end. I'm not getting a lot of like. So I'm always selling the Academy King leads, right? But last month, I was getting a lot of like people that saw the ad who just popped in anyway. You know what I mean? Not off their cat. They were like, "Oh, I saw your ad. Let me schedule." I didn't get as many of those guys, but I also think that people right now are like, Thanksgiving's coming. Let's chill out for a little while because I don't want to get sick during the holidays, which I get, which is cool.
Yeah,
But
and we've got. I know, like you're right in Jersey, which is just a couple hours away from us in Maryland. Numbers are spiking and all that kind of stuff is going on, and
yeah.
so you're gonna have the people that are nervous about that, rightfully so.
And on the same note, I was like, oh, maybe I should shut my ads down. Then I'm like, no, I'm not shutting them down, because what I did realize is, I'm going to suck it up and just keep paying for them, because I it's funny. I go in my neighborhood now, and people will be like, hey, you the guy from you guy from Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, you the guy from this? So I'm just like, you know what? Keep them running. It's going to cost me some money. Maybe the return isn't going to be that high, and I still think it'll be fine. It'll still pay. It'll still more than pay for itself.
Oh, sure.
I'll still make money. Not maybe as much as I was, but I'm going to keep running them because I know I just keep hitting those people. They'll eventually come in.
Yeah, and like you said, it just makes you the expert of the area. Like everyone knows you as the martial arts guy. Everyone, you walk around town, and I get that all the time at the gas station, at the liquor store, like wherever. Like people are like, "Hey, aren't you that guy from those weird videos?" Like,
yeah. I got guys like at the gas station. He's like, I seen you on TV. I'm like, no, that was Facebook.
Cool. So we'll kind of wrap it up a little bit. We'll kind of knock down a couple more questions, kind of rapid fire, but I don't want to hold you too much because I know I'm holding you from making money. But, so do you run the academy by yourself, or do you have other people that kind of help you out?
So so I just rehired. So I lost a lot of people during COVID, obviously, because unemployment was like more money than I was paying people. So I lost my whole staff. So but it was probably a blessing. I downsized, and I was like, let me just. My students knew I'm lucky because I have like 13 black belts, so they kind of like help me at nighttime. But there was a lot of times I would be teaching and have to jump off the mat to help people. And then luckily because of last month and months before when we started hitting, I was able to start adding new staff members. I'm still, after this pandemic's over, I need a full-time person. It's just right now, I'm just like, I don't want to hire a full-time person and have to fire them, so, but right now I have a couple part-time people working for me, but I know for me to jump to the next level, I'm gonna need a full-time person.
Yeah. I mean, I guess now that we're kind of running the ads for you and running that lead nurture and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure that takes a lot of it off the plate. And then you just got to kind of focus on selling them when they walk in the door.
Exactly. Using the Allen software to use is unbelievable. I mean, I'm just waiting for them to come in. They come in, I sell them, and it makes life so much easier.
Yeah, that's great. And then, if you have those black belts, it gives you the opportunity to give them some opportunities to teach and get them some experience. Like you said, kind of helping those guys out and showing them like, hey, this is an opportunity for you down the road. Maybe if you want to do something.
Exactly. Like, my issues now is space, and that's a good issue. So I've been, and it's more, a lot of people have been doing the kickboxing classes, but now my kickboxing classes are getting flooded. But the space issue also has to do with COVID too, because I'm not, I can't, when you look in there and it's jam packed, it's not good. But it's nice. It's a nice issue to have, and it's nice because I can see this model working anywhere else I go. If I need to go somewhere next year, I'd just replug it back in and let's get it cranking somewhere else. So
good. So kind of thinking back to the beginning, your process was 7-day trial, get them in, and then basically sell them into a membership. Have you raised your prices, or have you changed any of the pricing model?
Yeah, 100%. So I've raised them recently. I went to a weekly plan as advised by you, because it definitely helps, especially in the beginning. It did help with my revenue coming in and making sure, because all of us have issues with cash flow, and it was nice to be able to have everything come in every week instead of on a 15, then on a 28. So that was nice. And then by doing that, it allowed me to start, and then coming off the challenges, it allowed me to increase my pricing. And then one of the things that I wasn't doing is I wasn't doing 3 day a week in unlimited. So that also allowed me to jump. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, 3 days a week is what my old pricing was. And now unlimited is going to be, the next price up. So
yeah, that's great.
Which was a good way for me to step it up.
Yep. And you can use that. Sometimes I'll have people use that kind of 3 day a week model as like, hey, the only way to join is 3 days a week. And then the only way to do unlimited is if you do a pay in full membership or VIP.
Yeah, I'm trying to back off my paid in fulls. I'm trying to back off because I was selling so many paid in fulls. And I'm like, man, now what I'm doing is I'm giving myself a number of paid in fulls and then cutting it off because I do like this. I just like to see, I guess being good at selling paid in fulls are good, but the problem is I like seeing that monthly number every month. So the good thing is with the challenge people, I told my staff, I'm like, do not sell any of the challenge member paid in full. Rotate them right into a monthly, you know what I mean? Or a weekly membership. And I'm like, if we take paid in fulls, we'll take it from like the people if they come in off on like not from the challenge. Good. Which I haven't. I know you say to run everyone through the challenge, but I have been selling. People that are off the street. I'll be selling something.
If it works, it works, man. Like 54 people, might as well. It's keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what would you say to anybody like in the industry, owners, managers, anything like that are kind of stuck right now with either getting new members, COVID, like just any kind of strategy that you can kind of, and it doesn't have to be Academy Kings either. If you just have like, anything that you can say like, hey, like make sure you're thinking about whatever.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, don't let COVID be an excuse or not to make money because the people that are making excuses are the ones that are going to be failing. You need to try to stay ahead of it, come up with some sort of plan to what happens if we get shut down again? What happens how are we going to, pivot and switch right away? The other big thing is help. It's very hard to do everything by yourself. And you think you know it all. We all have egos, but your ego will be the biggest thing that'll kick you in the ass. You have to realize that sometimes you need to go out and reach out and get some help and get some, it's good to be around other like-minded people, especially if they're in the same industry, because you get to pull off of each other. You're a fool if you think you know everything. So my big thing is, with these guys, is make sure you always push it. And in terms of, and then the other thing is you got to put in work. At the end of the day, it's not easy. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the work. You have to make sure you're there in the morning. If you're willing to work, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You're going to make money. It's just a matter of, following the process. Following the process is huge because a lot of times you're going to fight back and come up with a bunch of excuses on why things can't get done. Instead find excuses on why things can't get done.
Good. Yeah, no, I agree 100%, especially with the COVID thing too, because I think, obviously like martial arts instruction and ownership is a grind a lot of times anyways. Yeah. And then when you like see all of your hard work for like, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, like in 2 months go like, cut in half.
Oh yeah, it was scary.
It's a really easy thing to just say like, oh, COVID killed my business and I'm going to shut down. Or, we've seen where about 20% of academies have already shut down. And they're projecting like another 30% on top of that. So it's like some of those are, legitimately, COVID shutdown related. And then some of them are guys, like you said, just kind of giving up and just saying, you know what, it's not worth it anymore. And kind of quitting that game. Like I was talking about yesterday a little bit.
Yeah. Like when I joined you, I was in panic mode a little bit, but at least I was in panic mode, but was willing to try to do something to do more and I wasn't in panic mode and like, oh, that's it. I'm screwed. Yeah. All these years I was in panic mode and I was like, okay, let me join these guys and see how they can help me. And right now I am not in panic mode. I'm like, if it shuts down, yeah, I'm going to have a shitty couple months, but I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like Wes, one of the Academy Kings guys, like he had done really well all winter. And then when we shut down, he had a bunch of money in the account and was just like, I'm just going to take a vacation for a couple months, pretty much. and then when he opened back up, started selling again.
It might not be bad if he gets shut down for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So cool. I guess the last stuff that will kind of, I'd just say any kind of final thoughts you'd like to share about the Academy Kings and about the group. So this will be like shameless plug.
Yeah. Listen, I have no problem giving you a shameless plug because you guys made me money. I enjoy the group. I enjoy listening to some of your conversations. Here's the great thing is, I read a lot as well. And I know that you're always reading, and it's funny because I know we read the same books. I can see on your stuff, but it's good. I think that's important because you got to make sure. My advice to anyone is don't be stagnant. Don't be stagnant. Keep learning, keep moving, keep pivoting. With the Academy Kings, you guys are staying in front of all information. I love the fact that you guys are demoing stuff at your gym, which is great. You don't want to work with these people that don't have a gym that's not working. I got to see what works here before I roll it out. But it's been a blessing for me in the last couple months. And like I said, it took me a little while to get rolling. But that's how anything is. It's going to take a little bit. It wasn't that long, a couple months. But you're talking about a couple months of where it's only me. All right.
Yeah.
Reopening. And then finally I just kind of, I trusted the process and just said, let it happen. And it started cranking. And I remember right before I had a good month, I was like, should I be dumping this much money in ads? You're like, just let it rip. Just let it rip. And I was like, all right, let's just do it.
Well, I know you were struggling with the closing a little bit for a little bit. And then we tweaked that. And then that's when you started getting that confidence, and then you just started to go on.
Yeah, now the pitch is like I have when I'm doing the pitch, the people are like, "Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, I agree. Yeah." So it's working.
Well, perfect, man. I won't hold you any longer. That's about 30 minutes. So, like I said, I know you got some stuff on your plate today.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you jumping
have more stuff on my plate tomorrow.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say I appreciate you jumping on right before the holiday like this. If anybody has any questions, you mind if they reach out to you?
Of course, anyone can reach me. You can hit me on Facebook. I know I had who was it? One of the guys from American Top Team was reaching out to me. Wade Rome.
Oh.
Yeah, he had called me and asked me some stuff. I don't know if you heard from the lady, but if anyone has any questions, I'd love to, help anyone out. I want to see people succeed, so it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it, and we will catch up next week.
All right, enjoy Thanksgiving.
All right, you too, man. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Yep.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Just wanted to obviously thank Jamal and thank everybody for jumping on. If you do need any help with any of the stuff that we talked about, go ahead and just drop in the comments 5, and we can get you our 5 frameworks of exactly how to grow your academy. You can also go to growmyacademy.com and we'll drop that in the comments also. See other case studies that we have and other talks. So hope that helps. Enjoy your holiday and cool. I will talk to you later.